This is the no-nonsense hair jig. This is the Great Lakes Finesse Marabou Jig. So what makes this hair jig a no-nonsense hair jig and a hair jig that's gonna get the job done for you day in and day out is the quality hook. So this is a Gamakatsu 604. It's also got really premium marabou. You can see in my hands, this thing's just so fluffy. And not all marabou's created equal, and we've sourced the best marabou we could possibly find for these jigs. And the last thing that's really important is the paint on the head. So these are all powder coated and baked, so they're not gonna chip. And I can tell you that if you're using a hair jig and you hit a rock or something and you get a chip on that thing, it's not gonna work nearly as well as it did when it was super clean. So these aren't gonna chip, they're gonna swim through the water really good, and when you do get a bite, that Gamakatsu 604 is gonna make sure that you have the best chance possible to get that fish in the boat. So one of the important things that most anglers miss when they're selecting a hair jig is finding one with a clean eye. So in the manufacturing process, we actually cover the eye where you tie your line so that there's no paint residue, especially because we're using powder coat and we're baking it. It's really strong, it's not gonna chip. So we wanna make sure that you get the cleanest knot when you're using 4, 6, 8 pound test line with these hair jigs. So a lot of research and product development goes into a product like this. For a lot of people, they might think this is very simple, but it's not. One of the biggest things that people miss is the length of the marabou and making sure that it's fluffy. If you were to trim the marabou to a desired length, it's not gonna have the same look that you'd actually want. So making sure that you have marabou that's super fluffy and also tying it at the correct length. If it was too long, what happens is those fish will short strike the bait, they might not get the hook as well, it might not swim, and also your trailer won't stick out where you want it. So having the perfect length was really key to this, and also really exploring a lot of different manufacturers to really dial in who's gonna give us the best marabou that's gonna be fluffy and consistent right out of the package. So we fish this bait two different ways. One is the traditional cast it out, reel it back slowly. We're gonna use the Finesse CX 7/8 medium light, just cast it way out there, and you're just gonna reel it back. It's dummy proof. Just reel it straight, put a little drop minnow as a trailer on there. We like to try to pair the colors the same. For example, we use black most of the time. Got a matte black drop minnow. And you're just gonna reel that back. The second way with the exact same rod is we'll cast it out there and treat these hair jigs like a jig. So we'll use the 1/8 ounce, for example. It's a little bit heavier. We put a snack craw in there, a Ned bug. It's gonna have a super slow fall. What we do is we just let it go down, especially when it's calm, let the bait fall. A lot of times they're gonna bite it on the fall, or we just let it sit there when it gets to the bottom and it's gonna lay there and the marabou is gonna kind of puff. And we'll just drag that bait slowly, maybe give it a few hops. And it's a sneaky, sneaky way that a lot of guys are winning a lot of money by fishing one of these hair jigs. So a hair jig is a really, really light bait. And a lot of people ask us what rod do we use. So we actually developed the Finesse CX 7/8 medium light. This rod here has a lot of flex in the tip, but it's also got some backbone on the bottom end. So what that's gonna do, it's gonna allow you to cast that bait way out there, but also if you get a bite way out there, have a bit of backbone on the bottom end to really drive that Gamakatsu 604 home. The other thing these rods have that are unique is these microwave guides. That's gonna give you additional casting distance for these hair jigs. So if you're looking for the ultimate hair jig rod to get these baits way out there, the 7/8 medium light Finesse CX paired with a size 2500 or a 3000 reel. We use 5 pound braid to usually a 6 pound leader. That's the ultimate hair jig setup that we use and we found a lot of success with. So over the years, we've made probably 1,000 plus hair jigs that we've tied on our own. And we've tried chartreuse and blues and every color you can imagine to try to find some advantage out there. And what we found is that we've always come back to really 5 colors to get the job done for us. Number 1 is black. I mean, this is gonna be your go-to color. This is the one that we use most of the time. The second one is olive. So this color is really good, especially if there's a fly hatch or something going on, as well as the brown. The brown is a really good color. Now, 2 colors that we have here that are blended colors are the brown orange, which we really love to use, especially midsummer, especially as a jig. you know, crawling that bait on the bottom with a little jig. And then also the olive black. So olive black is a really good color that we'll kind of mix in when we're throwing the black. Also a really good on the bottom jig color. So really all of these colors have become kind of our, you know, our jig presentation options. We'll pair with different trailers. Most of the time though, when we're casting the bait out and reeling it back, we're probably using the black, the olive, and the straight brown. So when you're fishing these hair jigs, typically we really love to throw a hair jig up shallow. So I'm talking, you know, anywhere from a foot to 8 feet of water. That's when these really shine, especially when you're casting and reeling it back. Sometimes, you know, if you're up to, you know, 15 feet, there are opportunities where a hair jig will work. Or if you're in deeper water and those fish are, you know, suspended higher in the water column, so you see them on graph, or, you know, if you spend a lot of time in the water sight fishing, this will relate to you. You see them really just cruising under the surface. That's when we really pick up a hair jig and we find it really shines. Now, when we're talking about the 1/8 ounce, sometimes we'll use that out deeper in that 12 to 18 feet of water, but that's when it really becomes good from shallow to deep, is that little jig. And what we've learned over the years is that in deep water, sometimes having that really slow fall will draw those fish up from the bottom, and they'll come up 10, 15, in some cases 20 feet to come intercept that bait that's falling at what you feel is super painful, but to them looks really natural.